Hello,
James, how's it going?
Robert. Good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Let's put this audio up a little bit. You got the professional system there, which looks like it's part of your house.
Yeah, yeah. Does everything sound good over there?
It seems like it is now. Yeah, it seems really good. Seems
Cool.
really
I
good.
I
So,
just moved here, so this is all like it was all tweaked, and now it's all brand new again.
cool. So this is in Nashville.
Yeah, up in Hendersonville, just outside of Nashville, north of
Very
Nashville.
nice in those parts. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. From Atlanta, Georgia, and
Oh, nice.
made the drive many a time up to.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes,
It's
indeed.
just beautiful. The scene is so awe-inspiring, especially go to Monteagle in that area.
Yeah. The driving through there is great. I
Beautiful.
haven't I haven't done it on is it 41? I need
41, US 41, which
I
cuts
needed.
through Georgia here. Wow.
Yeah,
Well, you can get some songs out of that, I'm sure.
for sure.
So many stories. I love getting off the interstate and just really exploring what the country has to offer.
Absolutely.
It's just beautiful. It really is. So, where is home originally? Did you grow up in Tennessee or are you far from there?
No, I'm from outside of Philadelphia originally.
Oh, wow. What a
Yeah,
difference that is.
yeah, way different. I moved away from there when I was a kid, so and I've been back a bunch of times, but I don't remember a terrible lot about the city because I moved when I was 9. And there's only so much you can take in or understand.
Yeah, you don't have too many memories before nine, so that's
There are none that are of a certain type, anyway. Yeah, but then we lived in New Jersey and Virginia, and then I came here, and then I did my obligatory New York sojourn and for 5 years, and then came back.
played Greenwich Village and kind of got.
I wasn't doing this then.
Oh,
So
okay.
I was working on music. I was trying to do post scoring stuff for TV. I never really thought I was going to do. I didn't think I was going to become a songwriter or even a performer. Um, so yeah, it's all kind of things have happened in stages and by accident, and I mean that's no one's going to be surprised by that. That's life.
And especially in the arts, you don't really have this like solid trajectory. It really kind of you go with the wind on that.
A lot of people really do appear to have a great plan, and maybe some do. Especially, I'm thinking of I'm thinking of younger people who kind of had a good, stable home, and I'm not that you can't, not that you have to do it that way. Many examples of of that. People coming from terrible situations. But I think, yeah, if you kind of came out of the gate knowing who you were to a greater degree, to a good degree, really having kind of gotten comfortable with your singing and your playing and all that kind of stuff at a young age, and possibly being in a good place for that. Maybe your parents are in the industry, something like that. That's a plan, That's like at a young, or that's a plan. Might not be the plan. My trajectory doesn't resemble that at all. I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
Getting
And
yeah.
my parents are from Brooklyn. They're, they were, you know, they didn't go to college. Neither one, which was very common. My father, who ended up working in television, actually,
Oh, really? Where did he work?
well, he worked at a bunch of small stations, but then he became a freelance. He was at the big one was Emiro Fiorentino Associates in New York, um, but my dad didn't finish high school,
Wow.
and this was not an uncommon thing at the time.
Sure.
But the reason I mention it is they did not know how to provide the type of guidance to their kid what college was going to be all about, or what the arc of a career was going to look like, because everything was kind of made up on the fly. My dad was drove an ice cream truck for a while, before he went to a trade school, which is now defunct, to learn how to run camera.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I probably could have followed. I probably could have done great if I would have just gone into that side of television. Like, he was a lighting director. He became a lighting director. He wanted
Yeah,
them.
there's a science to it.
Yeah, yeah. I could have been one of those kids whose dad was in the business and like launched my own career if I had
Right.
only. Yeah, yeah. But I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I've been in TV for close to 33 years now, and
Oh,
I do a lot of television production here in Atlanta. So that's
okay.
I like doing this kind of production of my own and
Yeah,
interviewing musicians and people in the arts, and it's just a lot
yeah.
of fun to do that. I want to know what makes people tick and how they get inspired, and that's
Right.
my big thing.
Neat.
And I love it. It's just, I love being curious and trying to get to the bottom of the creation of art.
Right.
It's a lot of fun. So growing up when you did and having your parents around, how did you get into music? How did you stumble on that?
I stumbled. That's the exact right word. I just kind of started gravitating towards pianos whenever around.
Did
And
you teach yourself or did they try to get you lessons?
no, we got lessons. I was actually thinking about this. I haven't thought about it in quite a while. My first instrument was viola. So I took lessons, and this was as a young child. I played viola, and then we moved, and the viola disappeared. So I don't know what happened to that. But later, I started to just kind of like, if there was a piano around, I was on it, and I was pecking out notes. So we got me some lessons, and then really, I started really late on the piano. I started taking real lessons as a junior in high school, and then I basically jumped out of an airplane, so to speak, into college as a piano performance major. What was I thinking? That's insane. Like, I don't know if your listeners
where
will
do you
will
study?
know how insane that is. That is crazy. That's just super nuts. I should have taken a couple years off in between high school and just did nothing but practice. But again,
Piano
this is
performance.
yeah.
Who offers that kind of a major?
I went to Belmont in Nashville, which at the time, hmm, forgive me,
Yeah.
at the time that was affiliated with the Baptist Southern Convention, and I think my parents wanted to send me to a Christian school, and I was
Oh.
sort of, that's an entire other program we could do on that.
Our angst with religion, yeah.
Yeah, I
We've
mean,
all
there,
been there.
jeez. So yeah, I attempted this really crazy thing, and I'm not sure if I knew how crazy it was at the time. And everything's turned out fine, but I would not recommend that to anyone. I wouldn't say, yeah, just prepare for 2 years and then do this very esoteric, hardcore thing. It's just my confidence was just non-existent, you know. And I think I'm somewhat scarred by it, frankly. But I met a lot of great people. I have lasting friendships in Nashville. I left here for a while, but then I came back. In '95. Back then it was a cheap and easy place to live, and it was a refuge from my 5 years of intense struggle in New York City. So it was.
Oh yeah, and so much more genteel and nicer and a good artistic community, I'm sure.
Yeah, Nashville's changed a lot. It's now it sort of feels like a little bit like a budding New York or Los Angeles of a sort. I mean, it doesn't bear any close relationship to either place, but there's certainly a lot of people from both places coming here, and it's exploding in terms of construction, in terms of you know
Mm.
real estate market, and then the rental market is. If I would love to see a graph, over these. It's got to look a lot like a ski jump.
We have that in Atlanta. It's really been going in that same path, trying to be like New York, San Francisco, bringing in a lot of these high tech jobs and trying to
Yeah,
get millennials with money.
right.
All this gentrification is happening and pushing the poor people out into the surrounding areas. I guess it's happening everywhere.
I moved to Hendersonville, and I'm sure I can't move back to Nashville. And now I don't want to move back because for a little while I did, though. For a little while it was uncomfortable. I moved up here to be with my ex-girlfriend, and when we broke up, I was thinking I can't get back to Nashville easily.
Yeah.
I can't buy something, and I was really every time I got in the car to do a session or do a writing appointment or something like that, or anything, I was just like I was behind the wheel of my car going like, oh, Hendersonville. I'm so far out of town now. This sucks. And who knew that a few years later I would be celebrating getting away from the craziness and being up here, which is pretty pleasant.
Yeah, it's a great way of life to be away from the madness. Because if I was living in Midtown, downtown Atlanta, it's so noisy and it's very
Ooh,
expensive.
yeah, absolutely. And there's nice things in downtown Atlanta, but you don't want to. It's nice to be. It's nice to have a little buffer zone.
Yeah, yeah,
Have a few like have a few what's the guy the park those five parks, those beautiful parks there that are strung together, same guy that did Olmsted, right?
yeah, yeah.
The same guy that did Central Park with a partner. I can't remember the partner's name, but those beautiful parks there, that's something nice about Atlanta.
Yeah, I
Is
love going to Piedmont Park, or with Centennial is nice, but it's turning into a Times Square-ish kind of place. They're really
ah
trying to make it touristy in that area.
right.
But yeah, they have been trying to save this old recording studio there.
Hmm.
Uh, Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville has been going.
Oh,
This thing's like 20 stories tall, and I think they were able to save this little old recording studio where some legends have been. So you
what's
got to
this?
fight for that, though.
Yeah, for sure. That reminds me of that old cartoon. I think it was a Bugs Bunny cartoon where there's that tiny little house or something, and just the whole city goes up around it, and it's still there. And then it's just,
Exactly.
oh man, it's dicey how real that actually, how exactly right that cartoon was. It was supposed to be wildly exaggerated. It's right on, surprisingly. Yeah.
It's so surreal. It really is. So where you're at now, is this a quasi recording studio? You bang out demos in there?
This is just my new space. Myself and my current girlfriend live here. It's her place. That's like
Okay, yeah.
I
It
moved
makes
in here.
sense. I mean,
That's her
combined
dad. Yeah,
resources, right?
yeah, for sure. And I kept my other place, which is hopefully awesome. We'll see how that turns out. Um, but yeah, so this is all brand new. Like we're talking days. So I'm enjoying it so far.
Very nice.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
So going through the pandemic era, where did you find that inspiration and the creativity to create during this? And then finally, now we're seeing a new EP from you.
Yeah. Uh, the so that obviously was so difficult to process for everyone. Um, Nearly impossible to process the information. Uh, Going a year without work, all of that. It's
Yeah.
just, you know, I was in a good spot. I was lucky enough to have some savings. A lot of people are not in that position, and I cannot imagine what that experience would have been like. And I've don't get me wrong, I'm not terribly out of touch with that uh, sort of an experience. I did quite a great deal of real struggle myself. I remember I remember one of the worst moments of my New York. I was living in Manhattan, eating a can of corn for dinner. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not so I'd have some great story later. Like that was what was for dinner.
Talk about paying your dues. I mean, come on.
Yeah, yeah. And so the pandemic. So I was okay in that sense. I wasn't gonna. I mean, I no one knew how long it was gonna go on. So there was that like I'm okay for a while, but how long is this thing gonna drag on? It could drag on for if it goes on beyond a year. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So there's all of that. And but what I did creatively was I started working harder. I know a lot of people rightly took that opportunity to decompress in certain ways and get in touch with, like say I was just talking to a guy today, get it back in touch with their kid that they were quite absent from because of work. Some people did a lot more getting in touch with nature and all of those things, and that's all valid. And I did quite a great deal of bird watching and running and all that kind of jazz too. But I worked really, really hard this year, and which I'm just that way. Have a lot of energy, very intense, very nervous person in general, and I'm just ferocious about working on whether I'm making money or not. It doesn't. I'm gonna work on something. I'm always tinkering. I'm always knee deep in a project of some kind. So I had some of these songs predate the pandemic. I was recording. I recorded two of them right beforehand, but they're the ones that I played all the instruments on, like Pure Joy or Sail Away, all that stuff. You have to just work on it for so long. You save money, but you waste enormous amounts of time. I mean, you don't waste it, but you spend enormous amounts of time. And so that was kind of just surveying what I had, and making sense of the moment. And so these 6 songs are very different from the 6 songs on the EP are very, very, very different from one another. None of them are in the same style. None of them really sound particularly alike. And I like that, because that was just what was going on. That's what was on my plate, so to speak. And I thought, yeah, this is fitting. Make that a thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really, really neat. Yeah, you have some good tracks on there. So this is kind of like obviously one of your biggest inspirations, Sir Paul McCartney, had created an album during lockdown too. So I think I feel a lot of that same spirit. It's like, and it's so inspirational to see people do that, especially during times like that. I think it's really amazing. Some of your best work comes out like that.
I think so. I have an entire record written now behind
But
this. I think I'm currently doing my best work. Like, the thing that nobody's heard yet, I think, is my best work of my life. Which is a good feeling. It's nice to, and I feel that way all the time. And then you listen back sometimes and you go like, oh, totally missed the boat. But I've been steadily improving and steadily getting more in touch with my own personal style without emulating anybody else too closely, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm really excited about what I'm working on now. So that's a good way to feel. I like my favorite song. You hear people say this all the time. So my favorite song is the one I'm working on now.
Good, they are like your children, as I said. Yeah, I got so many of these babies in the catalog here, and it's just like, yeah. So the latest one is definitely one where you got the passion on the Paper Boats, the EP. Where did you record this? Was this all in the Nashville area? Did you do this all by file and send that file here and get somebody to mix it?
There was a little bit of that, mostly. So there are 2 songs that at least the basic tracks. Pardon me. At least the basic tracks were recorded over at Joe Pisapia's private studio, with myself and a guy named Lex Price co-producing. And Lex is a great multi-instrumentalist and a producer, and he grew up playing mandolin, but he's a fantastic bass player. He kind of has worked with an amazing array of people, like Nico Case and Katie Lang, and Shamika Copeland. And anyway, so we went over to Joe's place, and Joe has worked also. Was in Guster, and he worked with KD as well. And so The Girl Who Has Everything and Top of the World were both recorded there in the same day, and with just the 3 of us. Forgive me, my voice is just absolutely fried and giving out.
Yeah, I think we got allergies and stuff going on here.
Oh, it's murder! It's murder here. Yeah, and then and you can, if you if you knew me well and better, you would be able to detect just from this, like, oh, he didn't get any sleep. That's what's wrong with that guy. But anyway, I digress. So we did those two songs at Joe's place, and Lex mixed both of those, and then the rest of them, the great predominance. There's only a handful of exceptions. I played the rest of everything. Same boat. There's a guy named Paul Arntz playing bass, and the horns I did not play. That's by a guy named Chris West. But everything else I played, and I love those tracks. It's really fun. This is one of the first times I've felt confident enough to even attempt that. But I don't want to make it sound like I was thinking ahead and like attempting it. I was just working on it. It's like, let me see if I can render the bass part to this song, and if I could move it down the goal or down the field, and far enough to get it to my satisfaction. I was like, okay, great, terrific. I managed to do it. And if I couldn't, I called somebody.
That's awesome. Same Boat has that Stevie Wonder, Paul McCartney kind of vibe.
It's
Is
fun.
that something you were thinking of when you were putting that together?
Yeah, I think I think about these types of things after the fact. I don't really think about them too much while I'm doing it. I never sit down and go like, now I will write a very Stevie Wonder meets Paul McCartney thing, because that would be kind of stifling, I think. I mean, you could do it. You could do it. Someone gave me an assignment, I could do it.
Sure.
But I don't know that I would consciously. I would never approach anything like that. So I sat down. Sometimes you have the good fortune, not always, but sometimes you have the good fortune that you play something and it sparks your imagination, or you hear something. So this whole process is still very mysterious to me as well. I can analyze it for hours, literally for hours, Robert. I can go on for hours, which we do not have. But there's also a great amount of doing the exact opposite, doing no analysis whatsoever,
Sure.
just responding to the sound, whatever the reasons and whatever the minutia, all that. Why did this thing suggest that word? Why did you change that to this chord? I don't know the answer. You just respond somehow. It's something subliminal or something subconscious. And once in a while, some words pop out. And in the case of Same Boat, I was horrified because I thought, I'm writing this trite, hokey thing, and it's going to be terrible. And I'm so glad that I didn't censor myself on the front end, because that's often the temptation. Like, I could have stopped. I could have done the equivalent of, you write something and take the paper and crumple it up and throw it away. I could have done the musical equivalent of that so easily, and I'm so glad I didn't, because it occurred to me that, at the risk of going on too long, it occurred to me that, okay, so what if somebody thinks it's trite? What if somebody says, "Oh, you sound so simplistic," this sweeping, happy vision of how we could all do better or get along or help one another. And I thought, no, that's fine. I'm doing this. Cooperation anthem is going to not get thrown away. I'm going to let it be what it is. It does not. I don't have to write a treatise on this. I don't have to back up my sources. I don't have to come up with the policies that it would take to achieve that. This is just a song. There are other songs that will provide more information, maybe.
Sure.
So that was my attitude towards that.
Yeah, I mean, and neat lyrics too. I think they
Thanks.
turn out to be really beautiful. I mean, you can't worry about what a critic is going to think. It's like, oh, go
No.
up, try it. I'm talking about magic here. It's just still it is what it is, and you can't overthink that.
Yeah, I like the line. I can't pretend that I have all the answers. By magic, turn these fighters into dancers. To me, that just had this beautiful. I could see this whole musical production, you know, with all sorts of detail about that. But I just like the idea of, it would be such a wonderful thing if, I mean, obviously it's an oversimplification, but it would be such a lovely thing to make life a little bit more the way we imagine it could
Yeah.
be by just like digging in. I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that at all. It really isn't. And I think Paul McCartney has like dealt with that. Oh, you're the happy Beatle. You're doing all the happy
Yeah.
fun
What a
stuff.
bunch of yeah, schlocky nonsense. Yeah, I know. And he even wrote, and so some people want to fill the world with silly love songs. That's a great example of him saying, yeah, so what? What's wrong with that?
I love the attitude because it's like he'll try any genre. Something like you
Yeah.
gave me the answer from Venus and Mars. You gave me the answer is kind of like a period piece. It's like he even did that in concert on the Wings tour.
Okay.
It's just like he can do anything. I think he got himself to that level where it's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna just try anything here, and I just think it's so inspiring to see artists just do that. Just try it. Hey, not everything's gonna stick to the wall. Some things are better than others. So it's fine.
Yeah, I always joke because I love McCartney, and I mean, who doesn't? But he's also done a bunch of stuff where it misses, And so
Yeah.
I kind of joke around that my very best songs are better than his very worst songs,
Yeah.
but because it's just fun to say that.
It's one of the most
Because
successful singer-songwriters ever. It's just
yeah. But on the subject of him being able to do anything, I mean, it was so. If like look at in the case of the White Album, you've got "Why Don't We Do It in the Road," this raucous thing happening with this very suggestive nothing, this kind of explicit lyric, and that and "Why Don't We Do It in the Road," bonk, and then it's like, "Who knows how long I've loved you? I love you still. Will I wait a lonely lifetime?" I mean, "I Will" is the next song. There's
yeah.
no warning, no explanation. It's just juxtaposed beautifully, completely disparate styles. I love that.
Yeah, it's just so amazing to see that. And the White Album is so experimental. It's like they're all over the place.
They're everywhere, and it mostly is like 99% of it works like gangbusters. It's
Yeah.
extraordinary. Yeah, and that made a big impression on me. So I really like albums that do that ping pong all over the place.
The Girl Who Has Everything. I don't know why I was thinking of Burt Bacharach, where you
Oh
think,
yeah, I know why.
love that. Oh my gosh. There's something about that Burt Bacharach sound that just it's
Yeah,
the comfort food in a way, isn't it?
yeah, yep. Oh, he's brilliant. He's wonderful, and he's got certain signatures, certain things
Yeah.
that he does, certain shapes to his melodies, certain ways of well, like the way the horn charts are written. Yeah, it's great. And what's so funny to me, I can't possibly talk about this song without mentioning my old friend and bandmate Daniel Tashin, who
Wrote.
uh, that I co-wrote this song. This song is 19 years old, 18 or 19 years old. It's the only one like that on the album, but it's something I've taken a few stabs at in the past, and I've never really been able to get it all the way there, in my opinion, or in my estimation. And so I hope I've finally done it. Um, but yeah, so Daniel has gone on to actually make a record with Burt. Like, they co-wrote all the songs.
Wow.
It's the first music that he's put out that Burt has put out in 15 years. He's 91 years old, and here's this
Wow.
beautiful album that the two of these guys made. And so anyway, it just cracks me up no end, because we were certainly at the time, all those years back, taking dead aim at that kind of thing.
Mm.
And so it just tickles me. And then I went straight for it with the horn arrangement. I wrote like, what in my head would Burt do on this with this flugelhorn part. So you know, and I'm sure that there's no way to know that, but that was through my lens, we'll say. But I love the way the song turned out. I've always loved the song, and I played it for Daniel, and he liked it. So that made me feel good.
Good. Wow, that's amazing. 91. I didn't know Burt Bacharach got to that age now. It seems time
Yeah,
as well, like Tony Bennett.
I know he's yeah, and he so the to still be making music at that age is wonderful.
Oh, you got many years ahead of you. Keep,
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, keep doing. You're in the right place in Nashville. You have a lot of good talent around you, so it's
for
a good
sure.
community. Just some of these other people who are there. I think Cheryl Crow is still around there, and
Wouldn't be surprised to know that. Yeah. It's very, this is not a place where you're ever going to get complacent about your musicality. Uh, it is jammed with world class musicians on all of their instruments and amazing writers. It's quite crazy.
very good. So the track "Sail Away."
Hmm.
Uh, is that I was reading that's inspired like by a bike ride? Is that how that a wispy type of
That's Yes, that's a bike ride that I hope to actually do, but right now is just a fantasy. So
cool.
my that song I wrote for my girlfriend, um, just as a present. So and we talk about going over to. We've been over to Italy, but we have not yet been to Lucca, the city of Lucca, which has this
Huh.
intact medieval wall with that's very it's very wide.
Neat.
I think it's wide because I could don't quote me on this, but I think it's because cannons were starting to be a thing. So you needed a really thick uh, wall to. It's not like bows and arrows anymore. It's you know
Cool.
cannonballs coming through. So anyhow, this place is intact. The wall is intact. It's a 3 mile loop or so. And I saw on a travel show people just riding, around this thing, and it was just I gotta go. We've got to do it. But anyway, so I imagine this whole bike ride scenario, and also um, uh, the sense of being on the sea or underwater. It's like the middle of that song is kind of like a dream that takes place underwater in my head. The instrumental part of it.
Oh, neat. Yeah, I'd love to go back to Italy. I did it many, many moons ago and
Uh,
walked through Rome, Florence, Venice, did the whole, yeah, it just blows your mind. And the
Rome melted my Rome melted my brain, and Venice melted my brain, and Florence too. But holy macaroni, Rome is just impossible to comprehend. The ancient, and then just all of the strata, just all of the layers of history, and then the modern world sitting on top with buses and things on top of it. It's crazy.
oh,
There's a the perfect illustration for anyone who hasn't been there, in my view, is there's an Egyptian pyramid. I can't remember exactly where in the city it is. It's not outside of the city. It's like there is an Egyptian pyramid. It's 120 feet tall, and it's just there's a modern traffic intersection right next to it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's somebody probably like got somewhere in there probably thought, oh, we'll revive the Egyptian pyramids. It's from 12 BC. It's just right there. It's still there. It's more than you can comprehend. It's just the strangest thing.
just gorgeous. Yeah, I just dream of like doing bike rides and going through Italy and France and play. I love Tour de France. I love watching.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know. I have a buddy who's super into that. Yeah.
Isn't the scenery is just amazing. I think they're doing it again this summer. It's just, oh my gosh.
Yeah. All those little towns are just each one of them just like, you know, uh, one after the other, just vista upon vista upon vista. It's just beautiful. Yeah, I love it.
Long and winding road. Talk about that. It's just
Yeah.
so narrow and steep. It's just so gorgeous.
The On Sail Away, that beginning, first thing you hear are those kind of jangly guitar sounds. Just really remind me, like, I get a mental picture of the spokes of a bicycle wheel turning, and the light kind of glinting off of each spoke
Yeah.
as it goes by. You know, that's just any listener would interpret that another way. Probably everyone will get their own picture in their head, which is great. I love that.
Yeah, and another track, "Pure Joy," has
Yeah.
the song in it. How did that come about?
Has the you dropped out for a second?
Has
Say
the
that.
bird song, the outside bird song by the piano?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's one of those things that happens sometimes, and it's what a great feeling. So I can't say that I was just sitting there and I heard some bird go, da 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 da. It wasn't like that, but all of that activity going on, because it's a lot, um, just suggested that those notes, those I started to just pick that out, and that sort of that melody tumbled out, and then the words that those melodies, those shapes suggested, and the rhythm of it, and within a few seconds, I was off and running on that tune.
Great harmonies. That's something that I picked up on with that track. The harmonies are just, I always ask someone, how do you get the harmonies to work? It's just really just unique.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah, I don't know how to answer that exactly.
Yeah,
Sometimes you have
it
to.
just comes natural.
Sometimes you have to live. Yeah, truly, some of it does. I think part of it is if you've gone through the process so many times and you've done all kinds of different music, and yeah, so it starts to become possible where things just come naturally. Once in a while, it happens, and you just hear it. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, it just works so well. I mean, really good. And I like EPs. It's just really, it's this, time capsule that you have and
Hmm. Hmm.
good flow to it.
I had to really, I struggled with that a bit. How do I think my original intention before the whole thing took shape was to just kind of like float out single after single after single for a while. And because it doesn't seem like people listen to albums so much anymore, but I might be a little bit naive about how the whole streaming world works. You know, I'm kind of starting from scratch there. Uh, but it just yeah, it just occurred to me like, okay, this is it, these six, whether that's right or wrong or
Yeah.
whatever, that's what I'm doing. And I just had to decide at a certain point. You just have to, okay, that's what this is. For better or for worse, boom, here you go.
Yeah. Whole different world with the streaming. We're going back to basically, here's my new single and really try to get that on Spotify and get this into heavy rotation. And I don't know how you could sit there and get caught up in the stats, where my song's streaming. And it's like, who's got time for that or the energy, really?
I'll put it this way. So, I'm kind of now just starting to focus on, actually bothering to promote my own music. I have played for other people. I've written songs all along. I have put out several things. I've just kind of put them out there. They're out there, but I didn't do anything to get them heard. I didn't go on tour. I didn't do any of that. This time around, I'm hoping to change that, or maybe not. Maybe it'll take this time and the next one and the next one to move the needle. But my so I'll put it this way: I know a guy who has. I think I calculated he has 2,000 more monthly listeners than I have, but his songs are not 2,000 times better than mine. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna keep doing. I'm just gonna keep doing what I do, and I'm gonna book some shows here coming up. The fog of the pandemic is lifting. I was
Yeah.
getting ready to do this before the pandemic struck, and it just completely. I had a new guitar all set up. I was all ready to start that endeavor, and then it was just like right when I was thinking about it, it was like, oh well, that's not going to happen now for at least well, who knows how long. So
Yeah. So your back catalog, how much have you recorded before this EP came out?
there's another EP called there there's there are two EPs. There's one called on this day, which I think some really good stuff happening there. Many years before that, there's a thing called Sparrowhawks. That's from 2012 or something. and then there are two full length albums.
Oh,
There's one from 2018, which the guy I mentioned earlier, Lex Price, he
yeah.
produced that whole thing with me and mixed it, and I think it came out great. I'm really happy with it. I just didn't have the at the time the resources or the energy to go out on tour by myself to support it. So it's just I just kind of quietly put it out there, and it's still out there, and it'll hopefully forever be out there, and hopefully what I'm doing going forward garners some listens for that project, because I think it should. I would love it if it got heard by more people.
So you performed live on a limited basis, or have you done quite a bit?
I've done quite a bit of that stuff on my own, but it's ancient history. I've took such a long hiatus from bothering to go out and play any of my own stuff. It's just this is how life happens. You have certain things you're working on, different priorities, and different events happen and shape things. And I'm just now really starting to concentrate on this.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. What type of venues are you booking now? Would you get
I'm
into?
gonna I'm gonna start from from zero and start playing coffee shops and stuff, and
Oh, really?
any and small festivals and things like that. If I can get on literally the smallest stage, great. That's where I belong right now.
Yeah, that's very good. And I'm sure people would be looking forward to hearing this kind of music live. And it's about time, really. That's
Yeah.
yeah, going to these venues. So, but you basically would stay in the Nashville area. You wouldn't be traveling.
I'm up for going anywhere, anywhere that I can reasonably access within, I don't know, let's say 6 8 hour radius from here. I'm I'm gonna try it. So
Come on down to Atlanta. We have some.
oh, assuredly, yes.
Absolutely. We have this place called Eddie's Attic, which I swear by. I've talked to a lot of artists who perform there, and
Yeah, I myself have played there with a long time ago with different artists. Yeah,
they're cool.
yeah, yep. And lots of the folks I've recorded with have played there many times. So yeah,
It's a great venue. Yeah, I'm sure
yeah,
you can do solo in a lot of these places. So
yeah.
it's a really good idea. And at the same time, so you are planning the next album. Is how many songs do you have in the cart for that?
There are more songs written than I can put on an album, which is fine. I just I can't help the thing of I probably shouldn't, to use my time well. I shouldn't be writing right now, but I can't help it. I'm writing. I just write when I write, and then you know the chips will fall where they may. Uh, it's actually, it might be a bit of a problem, because the tendency for me is to just keep writing and then not I need to be working on supporting this instead of just already working on the next one. But yeah, the songs accumulate. That's happening, but I got to get out there and play these tunes.
It's a good thing to have, and I don't think that would take your eye off the ball. I mean, at night you could sit down. Now, do
Right.
the lyrics come first, then melody? I always ask it, or either way.
It happens both ways. It's nice when it all kind of happens at the same time, but that doesn't always happen. And it's really hard to explain. It's really mysterious how sometimes you'll be walking along and lyric, bam, pop into mind. And then you go home and you write some music and you find the right thing and the words work. And sometimes you get some lyric idea and you come home and you absolutely cannot write the right music for it. You just can't find it. And that happens. But the very best feeling is when you sit down and it all starts to kind of, the lyrics and the music start to kind of ping pong off of one another, and they sort of, it feels like it's telling you what it wants to be. Almost like uh, you've heard people talk about sculpture, where the sculptor will talk about how the figure was inside the whole time and was telling him how to chisel it out. That's the favorite feeling for me.
That is really cool. Yeah, and how often you're in the studio, you're building the song. Do you change a lot in the studio? Or you come in with dummy lyrics sometimes, or just thoroughly start changing and revising as you're working on the song in the studio?
No, I don't tend to. I tend to have the thing fully formed,
Yeah.
all the words. Occasionally, you add a bar here or take away a bar there. You make some minor modification, but once in a while, you change a word here or there to strengthen it or make it a like a more. Sometimes you write the thing and you had the germ of the idea, but then the perfect word comes along and you go, that's the perfect word. So you substitute it. But no, I don't do a lot of that. It's usually the thing is complete and it stays intact.
Yeah, I always kind of figured that artists would do that. It's like, it's kind of, you got your words down. Why would you go in and change it? And then I hear, like, I get a hold of some demos or something like that, or actual studio recordings. It's like, wow, these are way different lyrics. I don't know how you
Yeah.
could possibly do that.
Yeah, yeah, and it depends on the artist entirely, I think. Some people, you look at just to take the example of the Beatles again. If you listen to John Lennon's demos, there's the germ of the idea, but the arrangement is not complete. He's hinted at what he wants to do, but it hasn't been realized. It needs to be worked on and strengthened and given some shape. And I'm not saying he never. I mean, the guy's brilliant. I'm not critiquing him. I'm simply saying that his demos don't bear a lot of resemblance, oftentimes, to the final song. Whereas McCartney's are bizarre, like almost exactly, in many cases, almost exactly the same form and in the same key as the final record. It's almost like the difference. It's a little bit makes me think of Mozart a little bit. Where it's like no corrections on the original manuscript, which is freakish.
Oh, that totally is.
That's whereas Beethoven has like he has scribbled out 18 bars here or 20 bars there, not just scribbled them out, but like tried to eradicate them to the point where there's a hole in the paper. He's just
That's madness. Yeah.
that's yeah, and I mean, and he's brilliant too. But God, good grief, Mozart with very few corrections on the original manuscript. That's strange. That's really strange. That's freakish.
That really, really is. Some of your other tracks, if you could recall, some of you have so many in your. How many do you think you have in your catalog now?
Just songs in my
Yeah.
catalog?
How many
Oh
songs?
gosh, I don't know. I've written hundreds. I don't know if I've released that many.
Something like "My Darling Starling,"
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
what stands out to me are the flutes and something like that. That's just a really Jethro Tullish kind of thing. Is that
yeah. I don't know about.
not to say you're copying anybody? It's just that when I
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
flutes, that's what I think of.
yeah. I don't know what that little moment where the music just shifts. It goes to a whole different place in My Darling Starling. I had those chords and I had that scene change and that kind of it's meant to be a breath of fresh air and to take you away from the material you've heard for a while and then it returns. But yeah, the flute part, and then I got that melody and was I thought maybe I'll vocalize that. um that business. And I thought, no, the flute is the ticket there. And I hope I'm not wrong in saying this. I'm trying to remember. I think yeah, the tone of it was so pretty that I wanted to roughen it up a little bit, and I played accordion behind it.
Oh,
There's and it's so faint, but it just puts a little bit of like nasally buzz into the sound, and so I just played the accordion along with the
brilliant.
flute, and that just seemed to sit just right.
Yeah, something that reminds me of something off of Ram as Lullaby of Black Sheep. I just feel like,
Yeah,
that brings me back. Ram is Paul and Linda McCartney's album from 50 years ago as we speak, from
one
19.
of one of the best.
Yeah, heart of the country. It's just like that's kind of. I feel like I'm out there. Lullaby of Black Sheep. That's a great track.
Neat. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, that one is a that's a good example of a stream of consciousness writing thing. You know, the little and it is very McCartney to do something like the 21, 22, 23. So it was like in 1921, 22 young men sailed 23 miles from shore. You know, that's the opening line. Yeah, pure playfulness there. And it just kind of suggested this whole thing. And don't ask me what Lullaby of Black Sheep actually means. I think it means it's kind of like it's a little bit of a maybe possibly a murder ballad, that song.
Yeah.
Did the father murder the children he was singing to sleep as he slowly got drunk during the bridge? I don't know. You know, or is he just thinking about that? So it's a super creepy song. Um, I'm not sure exactly where that came from, but sometimes a phrase will occur to you, and then, like I was saying before, sort of it tells you. That's what it feels like, not the other way around. Like I'm writing this thing. It's almost like no, this thing is writing itself, and you're just helping it do that. It's a weird feeling.
Yeah, and something that's very kind of slow and waltzy to me is Weeping Willow. That's
Yeah.
just really brings me back to like that slow, waltzy kind of idea.
Yeah, I love that song. I don't know if that's weird to say about your own song. It's like I don't think it is. It's like that one. I just when I wrote it, I was so excited that I had something that sounded that like that. I mean, it sounds like a country song, like a real country song, which I can't write the modern country stuff. Like I wish I could, but it's just am only really I'm I can only express myself. I don't do so well aiming at something that doesn't come naturally to me. But that tune just kind of started to shape up like some old classic country thing, and it made me really happy. And I even some of the words do, you know. I like that business about the I wonder if I can remember. There's a bunch of butterfly references in there. Morning cloaks. That's a type of. I don't know anything about those guys, but there's something about the morning cloaks falling at your feet, the weeping willow's feet. You know, morning cloaks glide with the greatest of ease and fall uh, at your feet. Um, and the guy talking about this character in the song who has to leave town because he's an outlaw, referring to himself as the viceroy of scheming, the viceroy of scheming, and a viceroy is another butterfly. And so I think those two guys have affinity for each other, and they just kind of cropped up. I don't know where that stuff comes from. Sometimes it's really funny.
It's really neat. So you love being in Nashville. Are you getting out running much? I think we all got our running shirts on here. It's just a coincidence.
Oh, that's funny. Is that what it is? The
Yeah.
big Peach Sizzler labor. It's a 10 and a 5K. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 10K. Yeah. And the big race we have here is the Peachtree on July 4th.
Right.
Um, I was running for many years. I didn't really get into actual races until 6 years ago. My
Neat.
girlfriend was like, "You're doing all this running. Why don't you just do races?" I'm like, "Races? I don't know. I want to be around other people." And I had an addiction ever since. I must have been in like, I don't know, 35, 40 races in the last 6 years.
That's awesome. I started running at age 40.
Yeah,
I, I
it's great to hear that.
I had been walking for 10 years straight because my dear friend Charlotte correctly identified that walking would help pry me out of my very darkest depressions. And
It does. It
yeah,
does.
I got addicted to. So at first I was like, I didn't want to go walking. No, 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 no. And once we started doing it, then it was like training wheels came off. I felt good. I started going myself. I didn't need somebody else to help motivate me. Um, I went to this one place. This is a great it's a man-made lake, but it's a beautiful natural area south of Nashville called Radnor Lake. I mean, I think I went there 21 days in a row in the winter. So the high was like 25, and I had my coat on and my scarf around my face, and I was just out there because I felt good. And around, so it would have been 2000 and what year would it have been? 2009 or so, 2010. I just started to, my feet were like, maybe we can go a little faster. What would happen if we did that? And so I strung together some quarter miles, and then I started really just running in earnest and having a great time. And my buddies who were really accomplished runners, who ran in college, kind of identified like, hey, you got some natural speed. They were all surprised to know that, and so was I. And so yeah, I did some races, and surprised to place in a few, which just
Good.
I had no idea that that was possible. And so now I'm doing this thing, and I'm injured at the moment, so my ankle's giving me some troubles at the moment. So we'll see. They come and go, as I'm sure you know.
Yes, they do. They do. You always have to be careful. And it's so depressing if you can't do the running. That's I'm like, no, I can't do, but I can do cycling. There's other things you could do. The elliptical, I like getting on too if I'm not running. So
It's a long game. You have to remember that sometimes the best thing you can do for your running is to not run today. And when it
exactly.
does, it's an awkward feeling. You're quite right. Like it's just you want to go do the thing that you love to do. Sometimes you can't do it.
Yeah, it's such a bummer. I'm so hard on myself. Like, why couldn't you? You could have run today. We didn't have the humidity. You should have gotten out there.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a lovely evening speaking with you, and best of luck with everything that all your endeavors, everything coming up.
Thanks very much, Robert. I appreciate it. And I'll definitely let you know when I'm headed down your way.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye bye.
Peace. Take care.